Morning, everybody, and happy race day. Let's talk Sonoma. We're talking about the Cup Series here at Sonoma. So, pretty fun Xfinity Series race. Yesterday, it was pretty cool to see Eric Almirola win. Kyle Larson basically had that race in the bag until Jeffrey Earnhardt brought out that caution, re-racked the field. Then Larson kind of got into that tire barrier there and kicked out I think he said the toe or messed up the balance in the car. So pretty cool to see Eric Almirola win that race. But flipping the page today, and we are talking about the Cup Series race. So looking at the slate at the top range, you got Larson, Reddick, Elliott, and Busch. Kind of surprised to see Kyle Busch into this range. Not that he is a bad road racer by any means, but when you compare, Larson, Reddick, and Elliott, those are going to be, probably your favorites today for different reasons. So Elliott has historically always been good on road courses. Hasn't been as dominant as he was now that we're in the next gen cars, but I think he's still in play. But I think the other two plays in the 10K range are going to be I don't want to say favorite plays, but plays that I'm going to target more than Elliott. So Kyle Larson has been extremely fast on this track. Kind of slipped up in qualifying a little bit. I was pretty surprised he didn't make it to the second round of qualifying. He has won the pole here. I think it was like 4 times in a row. I think he was going for his 5th pole in a row or something like that. It was something ridiculous. Um, he starts 16th, so he is the most expensive driver, but he does gives you some place differential upside. I will think I do think he does get through the field today. I think he does move forward. Is a driver that is going to contend for the win today. The only thing is, even though it's a road course, there's aren't that many laps and dominator points aren't a main focus for us. You still have to play that narrative out in your head of how do these drivers in my line work together. So I think if you are playing Kyle Larson, you just need to pair him with a driver that does start closer to the front of the field, whether that's Tyler Reddick, whether that's Denny Hamlin, whether that's Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger, whoever you think potentially can get out front, lead you some laps until Larson kind of comes into that equation. So my favorite lap leader today is going to be Tyler Reddick. Um, I don't know what it is about this next gen car, but Tyler Reddick has figured it out on road courses. Even seeing how bad Toyota was on road courses last year, Reddick is still able to show up and run well. And Toyotas look a lot faster this year than they did last year as well. So that is encouraging to see. So Reddick starts second. He does start right alongside Denny Hamlin. So that'll be kind of interesting to see between the two of them who's going to be that early lap leader. There's a pretty big price difference between Hamlin and Reddick. But I'm going to lean on Reddick. He had a super dominant car at Coda earlier this year. We've seen how fast he is in these next gen cars. So I like Reddick as my lap leader. And then if I have Reddick as my lap leader, I'm trying to build around him with some place differential upside plays or just finishing potential plays. So it's really, I want to get 6 drivers in my line that either can stay out front and lead laps or can give me like 10, 15 plus points, place differential upside points, or drivers I just am projecting to finish in the top 10. So with all that being said, I'm just really not getting the Kyle Busch. He really was complaining about his car a lot yesterday. Starts 12th. I just don't think he has as nearly as much upside as Larson Reddick and Elliott do. Getting down to the 9K range, you got Byron, Chastain, Suarez, Allmendinger, and Cindric. Now Byron's going to be popular, and I'm a little hesitant to play Byron. His car just was not good yesterday. The team was struggling a lot. I think they said the rear tires were shaking. They weren't really sure what was causing the issue. Just did not have pace. Was struggling to get around the track. Now, I'm going to imagine the team is going to figure it out and fix it, but that's a concern for me. I'd rather pay down for other place differential plays and then, look to maybe pivot off Byron. I think Byron's going to draw a lot of ownership today from people that maybe weren't paying attention to practice qualifying. He still might show up and have a good run, but that's just really concerned me. So I'm going to be very under the field on Byron today. Same with Chastain. Chastain, for whatever reason, recently has just been kind of on a cold streak. He has lost the points lead. He has kind of strung together a couple of poor performances as of late. So I'm a little hesitant to play Chastain. Suarez, I think, is going to be another popular option, and I'm not really buying it. Larson was basically supposed to win the Sonoma race last year until the stage, decisions kind of affected that race where Larson stayed out, got stage points, and then kind of got buried deep in the field, which is never able to work his way through. Whereas Suarez was able to get that clean air. We know last year with these cars, even with this year, it's going to be difficult to pass. But Suarez starts ninth. There's no stage break cautions, this year, so there isn't going to be kind of the opportunity to stay out or pit early. I mean, there'll be a little bit of that depending on how many stops you're going to make this race and when the cautions come out. But $9,500 for Suarez is just pretty expensive. I'd rather pay down and play AJ Allmendinger, who starts fifth. AJ is always in contention at these road courses. He potentially could be a lap leader. He's not a driver I'm getting to a ton today when I'm building my lineups. He's definitely not a core play, but you can never rule him out at road courses. So make sure you get some shares of Allmendinger today. Cindric and Blaney, I'm going to pair them together. I think it's going to be a very popular pairing. I would say Cindric and Blaney arguably should be the highest owned drivers on the slate. Give you massive amounts of place differential upside. And they're really easy to fit together in lines. You can play them with Reddick. You can play them with Larson. You can play them with Hamlin. You can play them with Larson and Reddick. You can play them with, Reddick, and Elliott, or like whatever the combination is. You're able to jam a lot of these drivers in and kind of punt down into the 5K range. So I have a ton of Blaney and Cindric today, but so is everyone else. So if you're looking to potentially get different, maybe you only play one of them. Maybe you hope that one of them has an issue, or one of them just finishes poorly. Maybe fade both of them. I am not going to be doing that. I'm going to be playing both of them a lot in lineups, but that's just one way to get different, because I think a lot of people are just going to pair those drivers together. Hamlin starts on the pole. I don't think as many people are going to project Hamlin as the lap leader as Reddick, but I still like Hamlin a lot just because clean air is king in these cars. Hamlin basically said he's leaning on Tyler Reddick's setup, and that was pretty evident in how the qualifying, results panned out. I mean, Hamlin even ran faster than Reddick. It was close, but Hamlin's significantly cheaper than Reddick. So if you are building as Hamlin as your early lap leader, it gives you a lot of different possibilities than if you were jamming Reddick in. So I like Hamlin a lot too. Truex, another high interest driver. I know we just had kind of 4 or 5 high interest drivers in a row, but Toyota's back. Truex is very good at Sonoma. Was posting great practice times, good qualifying effort. I think he's due for a good road course run, and I suspect that is going to happen today. And I really like the value you get for $8,800. Not really going to get to Christopher Bell. I just have other people projected to be lap leaders, and if I project other people to be lap leaders and other plays with place differential to move forward, Christopher Bell just kind of gets stuck there in kind of that no man's land. I think he'll have a decent day. I just don't know if it'll be a good DFS day. Talked about Blaney. Logano starts mid-pack. I just think he finishes mid-pack. I just don't really get to him too much today. Harvick, he's okay. I don't mind him in your line. Starts 21st. I think he gives you some place differential upside. He's not a great road course guy. Really like Bowman and Buescher today. Bowman's probably a little bit of a safer option just because he gives you some extra place differential points. And Bowman was on fire before his accident. I mean, he was just cranking out top 10s left and right. So really like that. Chris Buescher has been a top 10 machine, also like Bowman has. But Buescher, I think, has 6 straight top 10s on road courses. A lot of people are probably going to be afraid to play him in tournaments because he starts 7th. People are going to say, hey, he starts too high. And it is definitely a risk. I mean, if he crashes or finishes 20th or something, it's definitely going to hurt your line. But I think you get a ton of value out of Chris Buescher starting 7th for $7,900. So I don't mind that at all for tournaments. I really like going to Buescher in this range. And Keselowski, Gibbs, McDowell, Wallace, Briscoe. Most of these drivers I have as medium. Keselowski's more of a safer place differential upside type of play. Gibbs and McDowell are similar, where they showed really fast practice times, really great qualifying efforts. I mean, Michael McDowell looks like he has a car that can compete for the win today. So I definitely have some shares of McDowell in my lineups. Even if he finishes sixth or eighth or something, that's going to be a pretty good day, for him. Same with Ty Gibbs. Not really getting to Wallace. He just was all over the track yesterday in practice and qualifying. I mean, he was able to improve a little bit, but that car just looks out of control. Briscoe, I think, is another decent place differential, upside type of drivers, kind of same as Keselowski. Do not want to play the Legacy Motor Club cars, even though Gregson said he can't wait for this year to be over. That's basically just a throwaway year because they're switching manufacturers, so they're not really getting much help. They've got a couple of penalties. It's been a pretty bad year for them. Justin Haley and Eric Almirola I have as medium. Haley would probably be my favorite of the two of them, just because I think Almirola might get a little bit of an ownership bump winning the Xfinity race yesterday, but Almirola will be the first to admit he doesn't like his Cup car nearly as much as he liked his Xfinity car. Reese, he's fine. I just not really getting to him. Andy Lally is way too expensive for a workwear car. Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse are interesting. So almost kind of the same reasons as Gibbs and McDowell or even Busher. I think a lot of people are going to be afraid to play these drivers. I don't know if I'd play Dillon and Stenhouse together, but again, our main focus for the slate today is drivers who can give us place differential upside or drivers that we just project to finish in the top 10. Well, Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse are pretty similar, where qualifying times and their practice times indicate that they have the cars that are going to be able to contend today for a top 10. A lot of people are going to be going lower on the slate to Smith, Burton, LaJoy, Gilliland, which I am too for a good amount of my lines. But if you want to get a little bit different, you want to take a risk, don't be afraid to plug in Austin Dillon and or Ricky Stenhouse. I really like their finishing potential. I think it is a lot higher out of the drivers in the punt range, even though the punt range drivers are going to be a little bit safer. So Harrison Burton's probably the safest just because he starts 36th, gives you a lot of options. Zane Smith is in the same equipment that Michael McDowell is in, doesn't have a ton of Cup experience, but he starts 30th. We know he's better than that. Corey LaJoy is probably more the risky GPP option, but again, he gives you kind of that finishing potential and a little bit of place differential upside compared to Dillon and Stenhouse that don't really give you the place differential upside. And then if you need the lowest I'd go on the slate is Todd Gilliland. He is in the Rick Ware 51 machine, but Todd's pretty good road course racer. It's just, can this equipment hold up? So, and I'm not getting to Dillon or Balicki today. So again, for me, it's really kind of single lap leader types of lineups that I'm building. And then I'm just building around whoever my lap leader is with place differential upside drivers or drivers that I just project to finish in the top 10. So, I got a lot of Reddick. I got a lot of, Cindric, a lot of Blaney, Bowman, Busher. I mean, a lot of these guys that Smith, Burton, Gilliland, LaJoy, like those are the types of lines that I'm building today. And then I'm just doing different variations, kind of sprinkling some of these medium owned drivers. So hopefully that was helpful. If it was, dropping a like on the video is always appreciated. Commenting always helps the algorithm, and then ultimately subscribing. We're getting closer and closer to the 1,000 mark, so be a fun celebration when we get there someday. But best of luck on the slate today, and we'll catch you guys next week.